It is very disturbing to me, given the ongoing threats, the ongoing and real threats from a foreign government impacting the lives of Canadians right now, in addition to specific allegations that are now public knowledge in the report that was released that specifically named the Conservative Party of Canada and at least two leadership races, the one where the current leader was chosen and the previous one. Given that, I cannot imagine why a leader would not want to receive all information possible to take every step to protect our country. I love our country. I love our democracy, as these workers do. These workers love Canada. I love Canada. I want to do everything possible to protect it. I can't imagine why a political leader wouldn't also want to do that as well. So I can't understand why Pierre Poilievre refuses to get information that could protect the lives of Canadians, that could protect the sanctity of our democracy. This is a moment where we have to put our party second and put the country first. It is a country-first approach. And the only reason I think Pierre Poilievre is reluctant to take the information or get the information necessary is because he wants to protect his party above the country. And that is absolutely wrong.
Our story is one of neighbors.
I don't pretend that it's going to be easy.
Don't let your anger turn into hatred. We know that hatred is like a fire. When it's allowed to grow, it will consume everything.
Welcome to Orange Wave, the series discussing progressive news, culture, and all things related to the NDP. I am your host, Will Adams, and today we are going to be jumping into what is possibly the most explosive international scandal in recent Canadian history. Yeah, I'm talking about the political firestorm between Canada and India. Buckle up, because this one is unbelievably messy.
As the RCMP Commissioner stated earlier, they have clear and compelling evidence that agents of the Government of India have engaged in and continue to engage in activities that pose a significant threat to public safety. This includes clandestine information gathering techniques, coercive behavior targeting South Asian Canadians, and involvement in over a dozen threatening and violent acts, including murder.
Here's the deal. Canada and India are in a diplomatic war zone. Both countries expelled diplomats after JT dropped a bombshell, accusing Indian diplomats of being directly involved in the assassination of a Sikh separatist, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, on Canadian soil. Let that sink in. We're not just talking about strained relations here. This is about a foreign government allegedly orchestrating a hit job right here in Canada. That's wild. But as with anything in politics, it did not take long for things to get even murkier.
Because I am Prime Minister and privy to all these informations, I have the names of a number of parliamentarians, former parliamentarians and/or candidates in the Conservative Party of Canada who are engaged or at high risk of, or for whom there is clear intelligence around foreign interference. And I have directed CSIS and others to try and inform the Conservative Party leader to be warned and armed to be able to make decisions that protect the integrity of that party, of its members, from attempts of foreign activities around foreign interference. And the decision by the leader of the Conservative Party to not get those classified briefings means that nobody in his party, not him, and nobody in a position of power, knows the names of these individuals and can take appropriate action. It also means nobody's there to stand up for those individuals if the intelligence is shoddy or incomplete or just allegations from a single source. And that is something that as you've seen, we are ready to question intelligence when it comes towards the Liberal Party members, because we need to make sure if you're going to end someone's career, you're doing it in a responsible way. the decision of the leader of the Conservative Party to not receive the necessary clearance to get those names and protect the integrity of his party is bewildering to me and entirely lacks common sense. Particularly when you look at the NSICOP report that clearly lays out, the public NSICOP report that clearly lays out that in both of the most recent Conservative leadership races, there was foreign interference.
But before we go down that rabbit hole, I want to tackle the real issue here: Poilievre's security clearance or lack thereof. Because some of his supporters are going online and throwing out this weak-ass argument that it's some kind of plot to silence him. I'm gonna stop that right there because it is a very clear appeal to emotion fallacy. Now, for those who don't know what an appeal to emotion fallacy is, it's when someone tries to win an argument by manipulating your feelings instead of presenting actual facts or logic. They play on your fear, anger, sympathy, you name it, rather than giving you a rational reason. In this case, Poilievre's camp is trying to paint him as some sort of political martyr, suggesting that withholding security clearance is a part of a conspiracy to shut him up. But let's call it what it really is: a deflection from the real issue. If you are vying for the top job in the country, you need to have a clean slate, and security clearance is a part of that package. No clearance, no credibility. Full stop. And then there's the other elephant in the room. Poilievre's response to all this? His office put out a statement that honestly didn't even address the allegations of election interference directly. Instead, they used it as another platform to attack the Prime Minister. Not a word about the potential rigging of his own leadership race, which is already enough to make people suspicious. Now let's add another layer to this. Former NDP leader Tom Mulcair commented on the situation. And let's just say he's not exactly backing JT here. Mulcair called the whole thing a desperate attack on Trudeau's part, implying the timing of these revelations were, quote, carefully controlled to damage Poilievre. And you don't need to take my word for it, you can take his word for it. Here's a clip from CTV News where he says exactly what I just paraphrased.
They were anything but spontaneous, and it was a planned hit on Poilievre to distract. Over the weekend, the long weekend, we learned that there was a big tussle still going on with India over foreign interference. Well, lo and behold, on Thanksgiving Monday press conference with the RCMP and with Mr. Trudeau, when he got questions about his leadership, he said, well, we're not going to talk about petty internal politics. This is big stuff for Canadians. So he's been trying to distract from his own problems. I'm not saying, by the way, and I'm not even suggesting that the RCMP did this to help Trudeau, nor that the accusations against India aren't serious. They are. But the timing of this is something that was clearly controllable and controlled to help Mr. Trudeau. Same thing with yesterday's announcement. What he did in that hearing is he tried to used a bombshell. I'd use a more high school term of a stink bomb that he tried to throw at the leader of the official opposition. You know, Marcia, I know you're aware of this. I used to be the leader of then Her Majesty's Loyal Opposition, and the main job of the leader of the opposition is to hold the government to account. I agree completely with Poilievre's decision not to take the bait. Trudeau's been trying for a year and a half to restrain what Pierre Poilievre can do by trying to say, come and get this private briefing, and oh, by the way, then you'll be held to an official secret and you won't be able to talk about this anymore. Trudeau doesn't want to talk about the fact that there were known cases, and they're coming out clearly, where the Liberals sat on information, refused to issue warrants and the like with regard to Liberals.
Now, what Mulcair is doing is pretty clear. He's basically covering Poilievre's ass, running with conservative talking points, and using them as a crutch to make sure Poilievre doesn't have to answer for any of this. Let's be real. Whether or not this is about timing, the fact remains. These are serious allegations, and we can't just sweep them under the rug because they're politically inconvenient for Poilievre. Accountability matters, and right now, it looks like we're not getting any from Poilievre. And that is what Tom Mulcair is not understanding here. And look, I'm all for transparency. If there are names tied to this investigation, yeah, they should come out. But we can't be reckless about it. This isn't just about scoring political points. It's about making sure justice is done properly. Releasing names while an investigation is ongoing would only cause more chaos. And trust me, the last thing we need is more of a circus in Parliament. If names are going to come out, it should be through a public inquiry, where everything is done in the open, by the book, not through some kangaroo court in a parliamentary committee. Now, JT's been making waves with some of his other big claims, that Jordan Peterson and Tucker Carlson are potentially in bed with Russia.
And as I said, we've recently seen that RT is currently funding bloggers and other YouTube personalities of the right, such as Jordan Peterson, other names that are well known, and Tucker Carlson as well, in order to amplify messages that are destabilizing democracies.
That is a massive accusation, and I'm going to be real with you, if Trudeau is wrong, this could blow up in his face in a major way. Making unfounded accusations at that level isn't just political theater, it's dangerous. It's defamation. JT is not going to be Prime Minister forever, so assuming he's lying about Jordan Peterson, his days are pretty much numbered. But if he's right, it exposes a whole new layer of foreign interference in Canadian politics that could shake the system to its core. So here's my take, and it's very simple. If Poilievre has absolutely nothing to hide himself, then why not get the security clearance? Even if you don't want to read the report, you can still get the clearance. It is not rocket science. If you're clean, prove it. Because let's be real, Poilievre's base has shown again and again that they have no care whatsoever about the rule of law if it's their guy breaking it. They will turn as many blind eyes as possible if it helps them win. But that's not how this works. We can't just let political tribalism blind us to the fact that national security is at stake. Here's what I want you to take away from this. This isn't just a story about diplomats and political posturing. This is a question about the integrity of our political leaders. And it's a question about how far we are willing to let things slide. If Poilievre can't get security clearance, that's a red flag, not just for his leadership, but the entire Conservative Party and movement. We need to stop treating this like a partisan issue. It's way bigger than that. At the end of the day, transparency matters, but so does process. This investigation needs to run its course, and if there's dirt to be found, let's find it, but let's find it the right way, through a public inquiry where the facts speak for themselves. Until then, stay woke, stay sharp, keep questioning everything, and thank you for listening to this episode of Orange Wave. As always, I am your host, Will Adams, and I will catch you in the next one.